We all know about the OGs of boxing like Jack Dempsey, George Foreman, and Larry Holmes, but there was a guy who might have been better than all of them. This is the story of Soviet boxing legend Vyacheslav Lemeshev, also known as Slava. It was said that Lemeshev had cat-like reflexes and was so fast you could never see his hook coming. The only thing you could notice is that you were on the canvas in the blink of an eye.
Это был, пожалуй, самый короткий бой Олимпиады. Виртанен в глубоком нокауте. Бой прекращен.
It's unfortunate that we can't ask Vyacheslav Lemeshev about his boxing career anymore. He died nearly 3 decades ago, leaving significant memory for friends, teammates, and his wife Zinaida. He was an Olympic champion in 1972 and received multiple gold medals and honors for boxing. Fans and boxing enthusiasts are hoping to discover old videos of his fights, which show his victories over future champions such as Marvin Johnson and Michael Spinks. Until then, we rely on old newspaper clippings, interviews, and books to recall him. Slava's unorthodox fighting style perplexed opponents, and his most powerful weapon was his lightning-fast right hand. Even as a teenager, he grabbed the attention of boxing experts, who prophesized his future success. His legacy continues via the stories and memories of those who knew him best. Nikolai Puchkov, a boxing expert, described Slava's distinct style. He rarely jabbed and was not recognized for power, but his timing was perfect. Even when he was losing a fight, he would deliver a deadly counterpunch. What surprised me was his confidence. He never looked at his opponent after striking. At 16, Slava took his first place at the Spartak Junior Championship, impressing boxing star Laszlo Papp. As Slava grew older, he perfected his signature move, a short right-hand blow that could knock out almost any opponent. He didn't engage much in the ring, but he constantly moved, kept his distance, and had a deadly right hand that could turn out the lights of nearly anyone. Slava's reaction time was so exceptional that it amazed scientists who couldn't believe the results of his tests. No other Soviet boxer could react as quickly as Slava. At just 18, everyone recognized that he was a natural phenomenon. He had an uncanny ability to sense the right moment to strike, throwing his punch and calmly walking back to his corner, knowing his opponent wouldn't get up. In 1972, Slava participated in the USSR Adult Championship, where he failed to enter the top 3. However, during preparation, psychologists noted that his reflex speed was higher than any other athlete. This remarkable trait led to him being included in the Olympic bid, marking the beginning of his rise to fame. The long-awaited Olympics in Munich in 1972 finally arrived. The 20-year-old Soviet boxer Slava was not feeling well shortly before the tournament began. He had fallen ill, which disrupted his preparation. Despite this setback, the tournament went smoothly for Slava as he knocked out opponents left and right, advancing to the semifinals. There he faced the tournament favorite, American Marvin Johnson, and knocked him out. After this defeat, Johnson never entered the amateur ring again. Notably, the infamous promoter Don King watched this fight and became determined to bring Slava to the United States. King was amazed by the skinny Soviet boxer who had knocked out Johnson. Despite his dislike for the Soviet Union, King couldn't forget the knockouts delivered by this remarkable fighter. This final was the final before the finals. In the final, Slava came in with an injured hand and on painkillers to face Rima Virtanen from Finland. But despite being injured, he managed to knock him down 3 times in the first round to secure the victory. While the referee assisted Virtanen, Slava, looking fresh and cheerful, stood in his corner and received instructions from his coach. However, this was merely a formality, as his performance spoke for itself. At 20, Slava had already become an Olympic champion, which for the Soviet Union back then was kind of a big thing. Slava returned to his homeland as a superstar, becoming the youngest boxer in Soviet sports history to win the Olympics. He was a charming guy with a bushy mustache and a Hollywood smile, never refusing an autograph and always ready to make people laugh. Despite his charm, he was not psychologically prepared for the fame that followed. The pressures of fame led Slava to abandoning rigorous training, relying instead on his natural talent and authority. Unfortunately, he also began drinking, initially occasionally, but by 1974 it became an addiction. Olympic medalist Viktor Rakov remembered Slava as an icon, but noted his struggle with alcohol. After his victory in Munich, Slava's popularity made it impossible to walk down the street without being stopped. He never refused invitations to celebrate his victory, which often involved drinking. Despite his lifestyle, Slava's immense talent allowed him to continue winning medals. In 1973, he won the European Championship for the first time, and in 1975, he repeated the success. He also won the National Championship in 1974, along with silver and bronze medals in all union competitions. His personal trainer Yuri Ron acknowledged Slava's exceptional talent, which led him to overlook the violations of training routines. However, Slava's path in the 1976 Olympics in Montreal was not guaranteed. He had to compete in the traditional selection process against Rufat Riskiev and Anatoly Klimanov. Despite defeating Klimanov twice, Slava lost to Riskiev, who was chosen to go to the Olympics. Riskiev won a silver medal in Montreal, losing in the final to American Michael Spinks, whom Slava had previously defeated. Later it was revealed that Slava had been competing with an injury to his right hand. This injury, possibly caused by careless training, required urgent surgery, but the Soviet Union's medical system only offered pain relief. The only hope for improvement was to quit sports entirely. The failure in the Olympic selection, coupled with the realization that his injury could not be fully healed, drained Slava's motivation. In 1977, he announced his retirement from boxing. At first, Slava planned to turn professional, but that never happened. He eventually abandoned the sport and began drinking heavily. Attempts to bring him back to the ring were unsuccessful, and Slava no longer resembled the champion he once was. At just 27, his decline began. He never returned to his former glory and descended into alcoholism. A year after leaving boxing, friends helped Slava get a job in Germany as a coach for a group of IET troops. However, this did not help the former Olympic champion. In Germany, he drank heavily and even behaved recklessly in restaurants. Despite being only 28, he felt young and often sparred with his subordinates. But this only led to further problems. He was frequently knocked out even by less experienced fighters. Slava fainted for the first time in Germany but ignored it. When he returned home, he was plagued with health issues. His eyesight deteriorated, and his kidneys and liver began to fail. He developed problems with his cerebral vessels, psoriasis, and epilepsy. Doctors diagnosed him with brain atrophy, likely caused by blows he took during his career and years of alcoholism. The money from boxing quickly ran out, and Vyacheslav took various jobs, first as a driver at pumping stations and then as a grave digger at a cemetery. His third wife, Zenita, took care of him, but his condition worsened each year. By the 1990s, Slava had become disabled. Initially, he received a second group disability classification, which later became the first group. He suffered from memory loss and could no longer work or enjoy his favorite activities, like hunting with friends. Despite his sociable nature and talent for storytelling, his friends did not abandon him during these difficult times and helped him financially, as his pension and disability benefits were insufficient for his living and medical expenses. Slava's health continued to deteriorate, and in 1995 he was hospitalized and underwent a craniotomy. He was in a coma for 8 days but eventually recovered. However, a doctor noted that his brain was severely damaged. In December 1995, Slava was hospitalized again, and a month later he passed away. The Olympic champion died in poverty, blind, and confined to his apartment. Vyacheslav had everything needed to become a legend, but he quickly rose and just as quickly burned out. During his career, he achieved 103 victories with only 7 defeats, remaining one of the brightest yet most ruined talents in Soviet boxing. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.